Yo and hello everybody, Mike here, baseball collector, and man, I'm excited because tonight I am doing my first episode of Beyond Cardboard since I've moved over to Bench Clear Media. It's been a while, it's been a minute since I've done a Beyond Cardboard, so forgive me if I don't ask all the right questions. Just kidding, I got all the questions. I've done, I'm closing in I think on 18 or 19 episodes of this. And I used to do this all by myself, but that's no fun. So I need to have a co-host. So who better to have a co-host for our guest tonight than this guy, JT Triple Crown 24. What's up, man?
I can think of about a dozen people who would be better co-hosts, but you know what? Whatever floats your boat, man. Let's roll with it.
Let's roll with it. I agree. Yeah. Let's just do the best we can. I'm going to do the best I can with the tools I have.
Yep.
Tonight, JT, what's going on with you, man?
I'm on the grind. I've been making a lot of custom cards and trapped in my dungeon making those cards. So.
And I've been putting you to work, haven't I?
You have, yes.
So I'm going to show you guys what JT's been doing, and you haven't talked about this on your video on your channel at all, have you?
No, I kind of just teased it really quickly, but I don't think we've really gotten down the rabbit hole yet.
Well, I think the background here is important. So JT, we tease a lot within our friend group of about the short griffies, and we'll talk to our guest tonight about short griffies. I'm sure he's excited to discuss it. But it's just such a, it's become a hobby joke, right? The short griffy. And so what JT did was he first took he made a short griffy, turned it into a Miguel Cabrera right there. Exactly. And then he, yes, Grant, I will bring Andy on shortly. Don't worry. Everybody,
where's Andy?
Andy. But the idea was, this is what everybody's thinking right now.
Yeah.
We want Andy.
We know the star of the show.
I know. So we said, let's make, he makes this custom. Like, well, can you do other people? So we started doing other players. And so I had him do Lou Gehrig for me, who's my favorite player of all time. And he did Carl Yastrzemski. And then they said, hey, can you do them of us? Like, do them of other YouTubers. And so a lot of people saw Eric's last night on Blake Jameson's live stream. And then, of course, I had to have one done for myself, which is right there. Man, you did good on that, dude.
I did well.
Yeah. You did well. But tonight, we should bring in our guest.
We should.
And you know him as Andy. I know him as the guy with the greatest name on YouTube, and he's right there. Andy, she blinded me with Refractors. Let's bring him on. Andy, what's up, man?
How's it going?
What do you think of your custom card there?
I love it, man. The Seinfeld shirt, the Cubs. It's just, yeah, that's great.
It just works, doesn't it?
It does.
Just works.
Good job, JT.
Thank you.
So if you want your own custom, by the way, if you're watching this and you want your own custom, JT, tell them how they can get one.
I'm all over the place, so wherever is easiest to find me. If you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, if you just want to go to my channel, you want to send me an email, if you have my phone number, reach out. I'm sure I'll see it somewhere. Let me know. We'll talk about it.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to do Beyond Cardboard here because for those of you that don't know, it's been a while since we've done Beyond Cardboard. What this is we're going to get to know Andy, she blinded me with Refractors, a lot better. Ask him a bunch of questions, all the tough, hard-hitting questions, of respectable journalism. He's sweating down there. And so this is all about Andy. So let's start with all about Andy. First of all, Andy, tell him how we met. Do you remember I remember the first time we met. Do you remember the first time we met?
I do. The first time we met in person was at the National, and I approached you, and I think I had just bought a 52 Topps Willie Mays. So I was chilling. I knew you loved vintage, obviously, because I'd watched a lot of your episodes, and So I was going to show you that. And I think that was, if I remember right, you had just bought the Hank Aaron. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of the first meeting. And then last year at the National, we obviously, roomed together, got to hang out a lot more. And, we had become friends by this point, but yeah, that was the first time we had met.
And I remember that. And I didn't know you really at all then.
Right.
We've since become good friends. I apologize for taking so long to have you on Beyond Cardboard.
Hey, better late than never, right?
Nobody watches the old episodes anyway, so it's fresh and new. So there you go. But I'm glad you're here. JT's glad you're here, as always. Let's get into some questions. Tell everybody kind of how you got started collecting in the hobby.
So I guess this would have been 1987. So I would have been 8 years old. And I can remember, I think it was after a baseball game that my brother and I had played in. We stopped at a gas station and we just happened to see some packs of cards there. And it was 87 tops. And I guess, just getting into baseball at that time. So I asked my mom, if we could get a couple of packs. So we got a couple of packs, the old wood bordered 87 tops that everyone knows and loves. So that's kind of the beginning. And honestly, I've pretty much collected my entire life since then. So it's been roughly 33 years. So I guess you could say I'm a lifer.
You never took a break or anything like a lot of guys?
I mean, like, I guess in high school, like most people do, I guess. And then I started getting back into it when I was in college, actually. You start looking, eBay was relatively new at that time. That kind of like, tells people like how old I am, like eBay was a new thing. But yeah, like, so I started looking at some of the stuff that, I had as a kid, and, I started picking up some stuff like that when I was in college, just cheaper stuff because, poor college guy, don't have any money, but always had the passion for it. Just a huge sports fan in general. So it just kind of goes hand in hand.
I have to admit, this is really surreal. When you're interviewing one of your best friends, when you know all the answers that are coming, it's really weird.
Maybe there's some people out there that don't know the answers.
I'm sure there are a lot and that's the whole point, is for everyone to get to know you better. I'm blessed to know you very well, and JT's just along for the ride. But
Yep.
Who are your kind of favorite teams, favorite players? That's the question. I'm going, I know all that. I'm about to ask him all these questions.
Well, okay. So growing up during that time period, this was before, we didn't have cable TV. So we had WGN, which Chicago network, right? So I grew up watching a ton of Chicago Cubs games, the occasional White Sox game, Chicago Bulls. So yeah, like the Cubs have always been my team, the lovable losers up until just recently. We've had a lot of bad years leading up to, the World Series finally happening. But yeah, like the 87 Cubs, like I can still tell you like every starter on that team. Like it was, you get home from school, you start watching, because this, they didn't play a lot of night games at that point. So
right.
It was pretty fun just to watch them. I mean, even though they hardly ever won, but it was just great.
Did you cry in 2016 when they won?
I wanted to, but there's no crying in baseball, as you know. So
that's what Tom.
Awesome, though.
So that's in baseball, but I know you're a big basketball guy, and tell us about that.
So back when I first started, it was the Bulls because Jordan, WGN, all the same reasons that it was kind of started off as the Cubs, but we got a team here finally in 2008. So when the Oklahoma City Thunder became a thing, my interest in basketball was really peaked at that point because we don't have any other professional sports teams here in Oklahoma. We have, college football has kind of always been king here with OU, to some extent Oklahoma State. We don't, they're kind of like the other OSU.
They're a professional team. They get paid, believe me.
They're a professional team? Which one, OU or OSU?
OU. They're getting paid.
I mean, it's debatable. I mean, it happens in college sports, I guess. They're not supposed to get paid. But yeah, so the Thunder came in 2008. The first year they were terrible, but even though they were terrible, I mean, we were just so happy to have professional sports here. I mean, they've sold out virtually every game that they've been here. And, it was a few years later when, that Durant guy decided he was going to jump ship and go join up with the super team, the Warriors. That's kind of when I started really gravitating towards Russell Westbrook.
Nice.
Can you give us a little bit more on that? Because that's probably one of the funniest stories, at least for me, of why someone decided to really get into collecting a certain player.
All right, so JT's wanting to know a little bit more about the Spite story. All right. So Kevin Durant, he strung people along here a little bit in Oklahoma City. He kept saying that he was going to re-sign with us. Obviously it comes down to it last second. He decides to sign with Golden State. So at this point, I have a closet full of Kevin Durant T-shirts, and I'm just like, now what? So immediately I get rid of all those T-shirts because I'm just like, I'm done with him. Right? He's dead to me as far as I'm concerned. So. And if you guys know, but people out there, just so you guys know, like I'm a huge fan of the TV show Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David. So in this last season, he started a Spite store, a coffee shop, to kind of stick it to his nemesis, Mocha Joe. So that's kind of the way. I mean, I didn't think of it that way at the time, but looking back on it, I kind of started a Spite collection, and it was, Russell Westbrook was. I've always been a big fan of Westbrook because of the way he plays, how hard he plays, but it just seemed like the perfect time to go ahead and really dig into Westbrook cards.
We got a question here from Lou Rock. I know Andy is a basketball guy. How in depth is your baseball card collection? Is it more modern or vintage?
That's a good question. Like, I would say I have more modern stuff, but my best stuff is vintage in baseball. Like, and during the 33 years that I've collected, like, I've been all over the map. Like, I've done pre-war baseball. I've done, 50s and 60s. I've obviously done, a lot of the newer shiny stuff in all three sports. So I've got a little bit of everything, but yeah, the vintage baseball, I guess it is probably just because like I'm such a fan of the history of baseball. So I think that's why I gravitate more towards the vintage in baseball.
We're such kindred spirits. I can't imagine that we actually get along. Is there kind of a collecting niche, since you've been doing it so long, that you wish you would have started that you never did?
Oh man. Well, I mean, with the prices of today, I mean, there's a lot of things I wish I would have done differently, but I definitely, there's a lot of, speaking of vintage baseball, there's a lot of vintage baseball sets that I kind of made a half-hearted attempt one time to start a 1914 Cracker Jack set, and I got like 5 or 6 cards into it, and I realized like just how expensive that was going to be. And this was probably like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, and I would hate to even look at the prices now. But yeah, that to me, that's probably the one thing I wish I would have probably, followed through on.
That brings Grant's question into play. Speaking of 1914, what's the oldest card you have now?
The oldest card that I have now, probably be the 52 Topps Willie Mays. Yeah, I don't really have any pre-war right now.
Do you have that card lying around?
I have it in the closet over there.
You should show everybody. It's a cool. It's a card that makes me jealous every time I see it.
All right, talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
All right, whatever questions you guys have for Andy, now's the time to put them in the comments because he can't see it.
He's going to the vault, guys.
Are you having fun, JT?
I am.
Always.
I'm ready to grill this guy.
Grill him, yeah, right. There you
All
go.
right, guys, so I'm back from the vault, as you guys call it. All right, so here we go. So that's the card that the first time I met Mike, this is what I was showing him, and I was able to get this one for a really good price. Like I don't know what these run now, but I'm sure it was a lot less then, as most things are.
As just about everything is, right?
Yeah.
We got to keep moving, man. Oh my gosh. Because let me tell everybody while we're here, right after this live stream, Jeff with Bench Clear Pet Geek is going live, and I promise you don't want to miss it because he's giving away, and we'll tell you details in that, a Giannis signed jersey, which I will show you pictures of later in this stream towards the end, guys. But you don't want to miss that. So we're under normally we just go till we don't want to talk anymore, which for us, I promise, could be all night. Tonight we have to be a little more aware of our time. Is there kind of now we're going to get into some dreaming into your head there a little bit, Andy. What is kind of your dream item? If you could have one thing other than the Mike Trout autographed Superfractor, what else would you like to have? Because I already bought it.
So my card that I really want at the moment, it's the 2012 Prism Gold of Russell Westbrook. I've been trying to get all of the Prism Golds, and I only need two of them. I need the 2012 and the 2015. And the 2012 has they're numbered to 10. Every year the base gold is numbered to 10. And man, that probably should have been the answer to the regret question you were asking earlier, because those things have just really shot up. And I hate to even think about what that card would cost right now if one became available. I have a friend on Instagram that I know has one, and I bother him about it pretty frequently, but he just, he's a big Westbrook collector too, and he's just, I don't blame him. He's not wanting to move it at the moment, but yeah, it's not available.
So what's your dream job in sports? Like, if you could do any job in the sports world, what would it be?
Oh, that's easy, man. I would want to be a general manager because I love playing fantasy sports, and like most of us, I think I could do a better job than most of the GMs. So, you see some of the.
What sport would you want to do?
I think I would probably basketball.
Much less to manage, I would think.
Yeah, fewer players. I think I watch enough basketball. I think I could probably do better than most GMs.
Lou Rock says pro golfer. That's a good answer.
Yeah, that would be fun.
What about your dream job in the hobby? If you could have any job in the hobby, what would it be?
My friend Michael, you guys know Michael, DXB Sports Cards, Double X the Beast. He, is my co-host on Grown Men Talking Sports Cards. We grew up together, so we've always talked about, having a card shop at some point. Whether or not that ever happens, like maybe we retire someday and that's kind of like, what we decide to do. But I don't know. That would be my dream job, though. I mean, I think that would be fun. So what's it like, JT?
It's a lot of work, a lot of long hours.
Not as glamorous as we think it is.
It's just one of those things where I feel like you're turning the interview on me, by the way. But it's anytime that you take something that's fun and you got to turn it into work, it loses a little bit of its luster. But I wouldn't trade it in for anything else right now.
Yeah.
So it's a good gig overall.
And if you do it like Mike Holland does up in then I think it could be pretty fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I had his setup, I would be thrilled.
So do you do a lot of, you said you're a huge baseball guy, you love the history. Have you been to a lot of ballparks to watch games?
I've probably been to like, I think 6 ballparks over the years. Yeah.
And which one's your favorite?
My favorite would probably be, oh man, I would say Camden Yards. That's probably like my favorite that I've been to.
JT, have you been to Camden?
Yes, I've been to 16 ballparks.
Nice.
So that is in the top 5 for sure. That's a beautiful place to see a ball game.
Yeah, it kind of has that old school feel to it.
It was the first of the old school, retro stadiums, right? So I've been to 32 ballparks. So
well, that's a few more.
Reese has a question here. Let's ask. What card, I think he's saying, of Mike's do you wish he would give to you?
Mike has a lot of cards that I wish that he would give to me. Let's see, if I could pick one thing out of Mike's collection, it would probably be the Babe Ruth cut auto.
More than the panel rookie?
I don't know. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff, but the Babe Ruth cut autos, I mean, you don't see those very often.
Yeah. And you've been here. So
I've seen it all, man. It's pretty crazy. I mean, I could make a list if you want to just start sending me like one card a month.
There you go. Okay. I think Reese will broker that negotiation right there.
See, that answer surprises me because I thought you were going to say the 51 mantle as well. I think that's what Mike was thinking too.
Sure.
And
I mean, there's a lot of other things too that Mike has that people probably forget about. He has some crazy autos of guys that you just don't see often.
Right. Well, how do you go about choosing what you want to get, Andy? Because that's the one thing I've always kind of wondered, because you have good taste. I don't think anybody can deny that. You get some pretty sweet stuff. But in a hobby that has so many different things to collect and you're pretty well diversified in your collection, how do you hone in on something and say, I'm going to target this and then eventually acquire it? And is there cards that you thought about that maybe you give up on later for whatever reason?
Well, I mean, when you collect a modern player like a Russell Westbrook, I mean, with the number of cards that come out today, it would be just mind-boggling to try to get all of them, right? So I try to focus in on, like the Prism Golds. Like, they come out every year, so that gives me something, from Prism to look for. And, he has a ton of different rookie cards, but I've never felt like I have to have all of them. I just like pick out the ones that really appeal to me. And I usually like to try to get stuff that's fairly unique. I like to have stuff that is hard to find, because I think the chase to me is like a big part of the fun, because you guys know how it is. Once you get in like that rare card or tough to find card, your mind is like, okay, now what? Because I think we just need that challenge. And so I think that's what kind of leads me to some of the tougher to find cards.
Well, following up on that question from Jeremy there in the chat, he wants to know, when as a collector did you transition from quantity to quality?
I would say probably about the time that I started in collecting Westbrook, really. Before, and like you guys know this, but like I will, I'll kind of like, I guess, I don't know if I would say prospect or speculate on certain guys, but I'll try to pick out guys that I think, maybe undervalued or underappreciated. And I may get some of that stuff just so I can move it later on to pick up, the stuff that I really want. And it also, it keeps you involved and kind of tuned into what's going on throughout the entire hobby. and it gives you something to do instead of just, saving your money up for that big card. You're still able to buy stuff, and you can move that in a trade or sell it if you need to pick up, something when it pops up.
We got a question from Brian, who is Topps Vintage 316. Andy, do you have any vintage basketball cards in your collection?
I really don't. I've had a few over the years. Like, I think when I was in college, I had a Pete Maravich rookie. I've always, there's, like you were saying earlier with the regret question, like, the 61 Fleer Wilt and the 57 Topps Bill Russell, those were cards that I would like to have, but those have just, skyrocketed in price. And I did have, I'm trying to think, this was probably like 10 or 12 years ago. I had a Jordan that was like I don't know, it was like a PSA 4 or 5 that I'd got in a collection that I had bought. And I wish I still had that, obviously, but yeah, I really don't have any vintage basketball at the moment.
All right, we've got a cruise, man. We haven't even gotten to the real fun stuff, but which is the Beyond cardboard. We're talking about cardboard, but I know you've been to a bunch of nationals. I think a lot of people know that you and I each went to our first national the same year, which was 1990. JT was not even thought about at that point. Do you remember that show at all?
I don't remember a lot about it. There's a couple of things that I do. I remember just how big it was. Because I had been to like a few local shows before, where you might have like 20 tables. So you walk into this place and there's just literally like hundreds and hundreds of tables. So it was a bit overwhelming for, an 11-year-old that had never been to like any big card show before. And this is obviously the biggest. And the other thing that I remember, and you guys have heard this story before, but the aisles were like so crowded. And, I'm there with my dad and my grandpa and my uncle and my brother, and we're walking down the aisles, and I actually bumped into Willie Mays. So, and he had like the little emblem on his shirt that said, "Say hey."
Yeah.
So I'll always remember that. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, I remember seeing you there among all.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Are you planning on going to the national next year?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Who's going to be your roommate?
I'm thinking you will be.
And maybe that guy.
Maybe JT as well. Yeah, that was the plan for this year, right?
Yeah, we were going to have JT crash with us.
Yeah, it's going to be the three of us, and man, I think AC is they don't know what they missed out on having us three there, right?
Man, the money would have been flowing, and but we all miss not being able to go. We had such a great time last year. We got to bring JT into the fold with us last year. But let's talk about YouTube for a second. You've been doing it a while. How did you get started making your own videos?
Oh man, it's a lot like most people. I've started off just kind of browsing around, seeing what was out there. So I started off. I watched a lot of Elite Code 3 videos, and you get the suggested video. So then I kind of found your channel. I found Mike O, some people like that. So I was like, well, maybe I'll give this a shot. So at that time, I was, like I said earlier, I'm all over the place with collecting. So at that time, I was working very intently on a 1994 Topps Finest football refractor set. So if you go back to my early videos, you'll see a lot of that. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to get in there and mix it up, I guess, and kind of see what happened. And you don't know what to expect when you start a channel. I'm sure like early on, like those videos, like when I would check on them, like if they had like 3 or 4 views, I was like, wow, man, 3 or 4 people watched this, you know? So it's kind of interesting just to kind of see, you know, what happens sometimes. So yeah,
Eric,
thanks, Eric.
it's all true. It's so true. Yeah, I think a lot of people have similar stories like, hey, I think I can do this. And it's a lot harder than people think, right? You want to be creative. You want to be, well,
Oh, there we go. There we go.
There's the clock.
The clock.
And you've come up with doing some different things. You have a very diverse collection, so it allows you to show Patrick Mahomes and vintage baseball or boxes that you've bought, all sorts of stuff. And I think that keeps it fresh for you. Do you agree that helps, generate ideas for videos?
Yeah, and I mean it's that, and I've never really changed like the way that I collect to make videos, but I guess it does come in handy just when you kind of like everything, because you never run out of ideas for videos if you're really legitimately interested in all the major sports and so many different players and sets. So there's always something to do.
Yeah, for sure. Are there any kind of YouTubers that you've been doing it a long time, but that either inspired you when you started? I guess you said already, Nolan, Alico3, and some other guys, but any new guys that you're following that you think are doing a good job?
There's always new people coming. I mean, as of right now, like I think we were talking about this the other day on the phone, and there's like so many new channels out there. I think a couple of my favorite new ones. I mean, he's not really that new, but LBZ collection. He has a crazy collection. The Luca Show. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yeah.
It's a guy off of he's big on Instagram. His Instagram is the Lucky Show, but his YouTube is the Luca Show. He does some really cool stuff with all the scribbles on the screen and everything. He's kind of got like a cool thing going there. So those are a couple of relatively new ones that I like.
Nice. Looking over here at the stuff over here. All right, let's get to some beyond cardboard questions. That's kind of your hobby life. But where did you grow up, man?
Man, I grew up in a very, very small town here in Oklahoma. My graduating class, get ready, guys. We had 5 people in my graduating class in high school.
Wow.
So yeah, so I grew up just outside of Sayre, Oklahoma. That was actually like our address. We had a Sayre address, but I went to Sweetwater High School.
Nice.
Yeah.
He was top 5 in his class, ladies and gentlemen.
I was top 5 for sure, JP.
Yeah, that valedictorian doesn't mean as much when there's only 5 of you, right?
If you tell people you're top 5 in your class, that sounds pretty good. But then if you go a little bit further and tell them there was only 5, then it kind of loses a little luster.
So do you want to tell everybody what you do to make money to buy cards?
Yeah, like so for the last 12 years, I've been a licensed massage therapist. I've worked with some of the sports teams here. I've worked with OU, OSU. We've worked with athletes in football, basketball, tennis, track and field, stuff like that. And then I guess it was about 3 years ago, I opened up my own office here in Oklahoma City. So yeah, that's what pays for the cards.
Aren't all towns in Oklahoma small? Asks Big
Pretty much, Big Harv. Like we have Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and then other than that, like I don't even know what the 3rd largest city in Oklahoma is. It would probably be something like 50,000 people, but those two are around 1 million people each.
So the next question is usually to ask about family. I know you're not married. So
Right.
to all the ladies watching tonight, Andy,
Yeah.
he's available. But since here's my question, I guess I've never asked you this question. Not being married, not having kids of your own yet, doesn't mean it can't happen.
Right.
What happens to your collection if something happens to you? Where does it go?
No. I see Mike there. No. I would say that it would go to my mom if something happened to me, and then if it's later in life, my brother and sister. Yeah.
Just the 52 Mays, man. That's all I want. Like,
we might be able to work something out.
All right. When you were a kid, what sports did you play? Were you an athletic kind of guy?
Yeah, I played baseball, basketball. I played baseball.
The whole senior class had to play basketball so you could have a whole team.
Well, here's the deal. Like we actually, like, our school was so small, we had to combine with another local school for sports. So, and when you do that, like here in Oklahoma, I don't know how it is in other places, but it's like Class B is like the lowest. Then it's like A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A. We should have been Class B, based on how small the two schools were combined, but they automatically bump you up one level if you're combined like that for sports. So we were Class A, but we had a good team. Like when I was a senior, we were 27-4, and we lost in the first round of the state tournament.
Were you, dropping dimes, like just 27 points a game or what?
No, I mean, not 27 points a game, but I mean, I could score a little bit. I like to shoot. I was kind of like a shoot first point guard. So I think maybe that's why I like Russell Westbrook so much.
That's right.
Did you try to pad your stats or do you get a triple-double every game?
If I would have ever been close to getting one, I probably would have. But when you're 5'9", 5'10", rebounding, it's a little tough.
Did you have any hobbies when you were growing up besides collecting cards?
Not really that I can think of. Like me, I mean, like living out in the country, basically, you have to get creative with stuff. So my brother and I, we had some land behind our house. So we would actually go out there. You'll love this, Mike. We would go out back and we would design golf courses, and we would play golf out there. I mean, because we had so much space, and I guess that would be somewhat of a hobby.
That's awesome. Here's Canadian Mike, of course, wants to know how many seasons of hockey did you play growing up? That's a big fat goose egg. So what hobbies do you have now? I know a hobby that we share now, but what are some other hobbies that you have?
Really, I mean, I spend so much time with cards, and I mean, I don't have time for a lot of other hobbies. I mean, I like to play poker occasionally, but I don't even play that much anymore. Occasionally, I don't know if you guys remember the episode that Michael and I did where we were talking about playing Madden football. He was, laughing about how he always runs the score up on me and everything. So
you've only beat him twice or something, you said.
Yeah, I think it was more than that, but that's his version of the story. But I guess every year when Madden football comes out, a lot of times he and I will get on there and we'll play that for a couple of months. So I guess video games.
Nice.
Who's your go-to team in Madden if you get the pick?
Well, we usually do it where we have to draft our own teams. But if I could pick a team, I would pick the Chiefs.
Wise move. So, all right, it is time for my favorite part. And you guys, by the way, ask questions. If y'all have questions for Andy, bring them on. JT, do you have any questions before I get to rapid fire?
I would like to know Andy's preferences towards a certain Italian food delicacy, particularly the toppings on said delicacy. So let's go ahead and get into that.
Well, I just remembered we have not brought up something that Andy made. He was begging me in the pre-show interview to talk about, and that's Project 2020.
Oh.
Please, Mike, can we talk about Project 2020?
Well, I know you want to talk about it because, there are people that are saying that you killed Project 2020. Would you like to explain yourself?
So, along with every other person in America, I participated in the Keith Shore Griffey debacle. And I guess maybe I black catted the whole Project 2020 in a way, because that was the first cards that I bought from the project, and it kind of started going downhill from there.
You've got to tell the story of how that came about. Like, how did you get in? Why did you get in then, and why not before?
Why did I get in then? Well,
and I know the answer, which is why it's so funny.
Well, everybody kept telling me, how great it was, and I'd been pretty anti Project 2020 to that point. But I honestly, I started seeing a lot of people that had bought in some of the early stuff, and I'd they're selling these cards for $500, $1,000, and they're doing that to fund their PCs. They're buying cards that they really want. So I'm like, well, that looks easy. I'm just going to go ahead and buy some of these and do that too, right? Yeah. Apparently, I was not the only person that had that idea, and I think what was the print run, almost 100,000?
99,000 and change, yeah.
Yeah, I feel you, Jake. That was. I'm guessing this is probably a pretty common story because I think what was the previous high before that card came?
40.
34,000.
I thought it was 40, but yeah, that sounds right.
So about triple what the previous high was, which the previous high, that was a pretty high one too. Yeah, should have known better. Should have went with my gut, but against my better judgment, I went ahead and indulged.
So, because of the Shore Griffey, we had to have that made.
Yeah, I mean, I like this one better, JT.
I'm sure you do.
If you want to order a She Blinded Me with Refractors custom card, you just have to super chat $25 down below, and I will get you a She Blinded Me with Refractors on a actual Project 2020 card. You can have one of those because it'll be done by JT. But
I can promise you that this card is not going to sell
99,177 of those.
I think I will buy one, and I think you bought one, Mike, right?
I bought one of yours, yes.
Okay, so they're probably. I'm guessing the final tally will be 2.
How does it feel that the card that was the bane of your existence here in 2020 now has you depicted on it?
It's bittersweet, JT. It's I never would have envisioned any of this really, but yeah, I like your version better. I'll say that for sure. All of your versions have been better.
Sorry, I'm typing back to Reese here. All right. Sorry to bring that up, Andy. I know it's a...
Yeah, I mean, you know how much I love talking Project 2020.
Hey, we said we were going to grill him at the beginning of this, so
we can't avoid the tough topics. I'm sorry.
I mean, fair and balanced. I get it.
And look, everybody took a bath on that. Everybody that did it. And I'll tell you 2 people sitting right here that did not buy any Shore Griffies. Raise your hand. Oh, there you go.
See, now you guys are just rubbing it in.
Look,
I didn't do anything.
it was.
I can say this about it. Like it wasn't the first time that I had lost money on a card, and it won't be the last. So, you can't expect to win on everything that you buy. So, I mean, it's no big deal.
I think people do. Right now, like in this environment, with all the dollar signs going through people's heads, I believe there is a true sense of entitlement to profit in the hobby, and that has not been my experience nor yours in our combined 73 years in the hobby. That's not normal. That is
if you do this long enough, there's going to be some mistakes along the way for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, rapid fire. All right, guys, here's how rapid fire works. I'm going to ask Andy a series of questions. His job is to not think about the answer and simply give it to me as quick as he can. And that's what she said. Sorry, that was so easy, JT. All right, you ready, Andy?
Let's go.
Favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Okay. On your hot dog, mustard or ketchup? And I know you've been struggling with this, so what's your final answer?
Mustard. I mean, you can do both, but you can't just do ketchup.
There are plenty of people that do, and they're crazy.
Yeah.
Do you drink coffee?
I do.
When you do you use creamer or do you just drink it black?
I drink creamer, and I also drink cold coffee.
Oh, I love cold coffee. Some people don't like it. I really like it too.
I love it.
Are you a good dancer?
No. No.
Can you prove it for us?
Yes. Can you?
I could definitely prove it for you, but I won't.
What's your middle name?
Levi. That was my great-great-grandfather's name.
And a big deal in the Bible guy, Levi.
And a very popular brand of jeans.
And a Jewish tribe, like that, the Levites, right? Okay, sorry.
We could go on with this.
Yeah. What was your first car?
My first car was a 95 Ford Mustang.
Nice. That's a good first car.
Yeah, it was red. I loved that thing. It was awesome.
What kind of car do you drive now?
I drive a Dodge Dart.
A Dodge Dart.
Dodge Dart.
And it's blue.
Blue. Yep, like the Thunder Blue.
Do you prefer beer or liquor?
I really don't drink much. Like, this is funny because like at the National each year, that's really probably like the only time that I drink the whole year. So I'll do a little bit of both there,
Yeah. What is your favorite candy bar?
I would say Snickers.
Oh, good, steady. That's always good. What's your favorite breakfast cereal?
Fruity Pebbles. I mean, I'm still kind of like I'm like a big kid. So yeah, Fruity Pebbles. I love the milk. The milk tastes after you eat the cereal.
Oh my gosh, yes. I have two cereals in my pantry right now. I have Fruity Pebbles and I have Lucky Charms. Those are the two cereals I have in my.
And I love Cocoa Pebbles too, by the way.
Yeah, always good. You're a big chocolate guy, I can tell.
I love it. Yeah.
What is your favorite soda?
Coke Zero, man.
Coke Zero.
You guys know. Come on.
Oh, they don't know?
All right. Fair enough.
What's your favorite board game?
I don't play any board games. Everybody else says Monopoly, so I'll just go with Monopoly. I don't think those guys play them either, to be honest.
What is your what's your favorite video game?
Madden. Love Madden football.
Nice. What's your favorite movie franchise?
I would say Rocky. Like, I'm a big Rocky fan.
Who's your?
2, that's the best.
No, Rocky 3 or Rocky 4.
Nah, the first 2, I think.
Oh, come on. I do love all of the Rockies though, so yeah. I'll let that slide. We can still be friends.
Okay.
What is your favorite kind of music?
I listen to everything, but growing up in the 90s, like I like a lot of 90s alternative rock, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, that kind of stuff.
I saw Soundgarden and Nine Inch Nails a couple of years ago before I just went blank on their lead singer. Before he passed away, their lead singer. It was really good. They were really good.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw them in concert, but I've seen a few of the other ones.
What is your favorite sport to play?
Basketball.
What is your favorite sport to watch?
That would be basketball also. It's tough, though. I mean, I'd like to watch baseball and football, too.
All of them, right?
Yeah, but basketball, I mean, and it's probably just I love to play basketball more, and then, with the Thunder being here.
Fair enough.
If you had to play for any team that's still in the bubble right now, who would you play for besides the Thunder?
Oh, besides the Thunder?
No,
man, that's
Luka.
tough.
Luka.
It would have to be somebody in the East. I guess let's say the Bucks.
Giannis, which we're going to talk about Giannis in just a second. That was a good
Shout out to Scotty Tradition in the Bucks.
Chris Cornell was the lead singer of.
Oh yeah.
And there's the last question. What was the last movie you cried at?
Come on, that's a trick question. Like this isn't my first time to watch this, Mike. I will say sometimes like when you kind of get into that mood where you're kind of feeling sorry for yourself, I really like to watch World War II type stuff. So during the quarantine period, I watched a lot of that type of stuff. It just kind of like makes you realize that, hey, we don't have it that bad, like all the stuff that we're going through. Yeah. There's been people before us that have went through way worse, and you just kind of have to suck it up.
Did you watch Band of Brothers?
I did. That was speaking of Connie Tradition, Scott actually texted me about that, and he said, man, you got to watch this, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I've heard of it, so I loved it. It was so good.
Fantastic. I'm sure JT hasn't seen it, but the rest of us in America, have you seen it, JT?
Hey, I'm not the guest here. This is about Andy, right?
No, it's absolutely, you really, really get a sense of what it was like to be, I mean, not even, I guess you don't really 100%, but it gives you some insight to what it would be like.
And then I recently watched Midway. Have you seen that?
I did.
Yeah, that's fantastic too.
Yeah, it was good. It was good for sure. Okay, so Andy, man, thanks for being on the show, dude.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
So I need to plug right now, or in a few minutes, once we're done here at 8:30 Central Time, 9:30 Eastern, go check out our channel, Bench Clear Media. Jeff Pat Geek is going to be going live, and if you like basketball at all, you're going to want to go over there because he's going to be telling you how you can win that right there, how you can win a Giannis autographed jersey. I'll show you. There's the up close of the autograph certified by JSA. And on the front, it says the Greek Freak. I mean, how cool is that? So if you want a chance to win that, all you need to do is go over to our channel, to stay on this channel, and just hit refresh until Jeff starts going live on his live stream tonight. He's been searching packs, trying to pull a Giannis rookie all week. It's called the Greek Freak Week, so make sure you go check that out. Andy, do you have any Giannis rookies?
I do not. Like as we're doing this, like I'm writing down like all of my regrets that I haven't purchased over the years. Yeah, no. I can remember opening 2013 Prism packs and thinking, man, this guy has a weird name, and then just tossing it aside.
Can you do us one thing? Can you please pronounce Giannis's last name for us?
Antetokounmpo.
Wow.
Lots of practice, JT. Lots of practice.
Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, it's hard to say, man.
Yeah. Well, again, dude, it's been a long time coming having you on this show. And now we need to, next time I need to flip you guys and we'll put JT down in the hot seat. And you can, because you've co-hosted with me on other shows. That's the really funny thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe we should flip that and have JT be the guest. And then he can say, I'm not the guest. He can't say I'm not the guest.
Yeah, I've got a few questions for JT.
I'm sure you do.
Well, guys, everybody, thanks so much for joining. Thanks for coming and watching. And what else? What else do we want to say?
Oh
Can we
man,
all say it together on 3?
we should. We should.
Count it down.
All right. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Keep collecting.
God, that's so dumb.